Are you like us? Tired of all the politically correct horseshit on podcasts and in the media? Need a podcast that's funny, smart, and gassy? It's not politically correct. It's just correct. This is the Carolina Underground. Throw that middle finger in the air. Raise them up. Because it's time to get loud, proud, and in your face. Generation X. The best generation of all time meets the grit of the South. It's about everything and nothing at all. From current events to woolly boogers to movies to politics. Loud, brash, funny, and never, and I do mean never, predictable. The Carolina Underground with Mark and Mike.
Yo, 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 yo! Welcome back to the Carolina Underground. After we got done being off for Labor Day, I'm coming to you live from the Replica Bat Cave. And as always, I have my partner in crime that is hidden somewhere deep in the dark jungles of Sparkleberry.
It does kind of look like a jungle because I hadn't cut my grass for 2 weeks. How are you this evening, sir?
Ooh, I am doing so good that you wouldn't even believe how good I'm doing.
Man, I'm happy for you. I'm about aggravated with a few things, but I know that's
Lord.
not unusual.
Here comes the soapbox, boys and girls.
Well, I mean, again, now, and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump right in.
Go ahead, go for it.
You
Dive on in, Big Daddy. Dive on in.
So my son got a really good deal on a older car, 2004.
Okay.
It's a Jaguar. Okay, it's a pretty car.
Was 2004 when Ford owned it, or was that still when Lucas still had it?
It's got the Ford transmission.
Okay.
I mean, it's
well, that was back when they fixed the electrical problems, at least.
Oh yeah. Lucas Electrical is a it should be Lucifer Electrical and not Lucas. But at any rate, so he started having some trouble with it. Now again, and this is right after.
Which one is it? Is it the?
It's an XJ, X-Type. Excuse me.
Is that the sports car?
No, it's the sedan.
The big one. Okay, the 4-door one. Okay.
Yeah, it's still a pretty.
Oh, Jaguar. The newer one's not so much, but up until they changed that to this newest body style, it was still one of the prettiest cars on the road.
Oh, no, absolutely. But at any rate, so this was right after my girlfriend's alternator died on her, and so I had to drive up there to your backyard on late Thursday night. And
well, you should have called. I'd have come and helped you.
I know, but I sat in the parking lot till about 2 o'clock in the morning getting the battery out so that I could put it on trickle charger and get enough juice in it to get it somewhere where I could work on it.
I would have come over there and drunk a Sunkist and watched you work and cuss.
Oh, there was definitely some cussing going on. But then I commenced to look at what it was going to take to snatch that alternator out of there. Okay. And you got to jack the dadgum car up, put it on blocks, and take the passenger side right front tire off to be able to get at the serpentine belt.
Oh, Lord.
And to get the dadgum.
Is it a Volkswagen?
No, it's a Chevy, for God's sake.
Oh, I was going to say, because my wife's Volkswagen, you about have to take the engine out to get a battery in because it's in the fender well.
Well, but it's one of those transverse mounted bad boys.
Oh, yeah.
And you get it. I mean, and again, so at any rate, I spent a couple of days working with that, and I finally said, look, I'm not going to buy a floor jack up here and all that stuff. We're just going to take it to somebody. We found somebody that would do the work after I bought the parts. But at any rate, I come back, and lo and behold, my son's got problems with his electrical. Well, diagnosing it looks like it's the computer module that's probably the culprit. But the problem I got, and the reason my knickers are so severely knotted, is you can pick up the part relatively inexpensively, but they've all gone to this thing where you can get a part, but you can't. You're going to either have to spend so much money on specialty tools to be able to put it in that I mean, they're forcing you under every circumstance to go to a dealership and
Right.
pay through the nose.
Well, and it's just not in cars. They're doing that with like
Oh
Apple
yeah,
products and everything else. Now, they
absolutely
don't
everything.
want you to fix it. They want you to buy something else. That's why they engineer them like they do.
Well, it's all disposable, and again, that's why they want you in the electric cars, because you can't fix anything on an electric car.
Oh,
It's
I can
all
fix it.
just to throw away. Well, I
Hey,
mean, yeah,
I can
but it's
fix it.
all just
Trust
to
me.
throw
I ain't
away.
met an electric car yet that I like, so I can do some serious reconditioning with my sledgehammer.
But I mean, again, so and this is the whole, this is where, okay, here comes the soapbox.
Oh, I thought we
Is,
was already on the soapbox.
well, we kind of are. It's a lead
Okay.
in, but people don't
It's a
seem to get
segue, boys and girls. A segue.
the thing that people don't seem to get is who the actual puppet masters are. Now, we've alluded to this, we've talked about it, but they still don't seem to get it. That you don't, it's like George Orwell wrote, you never see the actual puppet masters
Right.
because
Well,
they know if you saw them on the street, you'd kill them. Okay, because they make your life so difficult. So the puppet masters are, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, BlackRock, Vanguard, George Soros, all of these big money, super powerful corporations. Okay. And so you look at the things like why do they import drug addicts into high dollar property value areas like Manhattan and San Francisco and Denver, Colorado? Why are they importing violent gangs into these areas and things like that, and having people shooting up on the street and crapping on the sidewalk and shoplifting and all that stuff? Why are they making it so difficult? And the answer is so that people who really legitimately want to just produce, do their job, and support their family get so fed up that they will leave and sell that high dollar property at a bargain and they can snap it up. And it's all going towards this. You will not, the whole great reset, you will own nothing and you will be happy, is the way they, of course, bill that crap.
well, I'm kind of happy.
But I mean, but you own stuff. There is some stuff that you have that you own. All right. And I mean, again, that's the whole American dream, was to own your house with the 2-car garage, a white picket fence, and 2.5 kids. I never did quite understand the half kid. I mean, I guess you either
Well,
share them with
nowadays
the
I think
neighborhood.
it's based on intelligence because it takes like 12 to get two and a half brains.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, but it's, so these useful idiots that we have, or that they have in all levels of government, again, it's like the joke says, they should have to wear patches on their suits like the NASCAR
Yeah,
drivers
to know
wear on
who's
their,
paid for 'em.
right. And therein is the whole problem. Now, again, the beauty of our Constitution, in contrast to the constitutions in most nations around the world, is most nations the Constitution is a government written by, or document written by the government to tell you the citizen what your rights are, but ours is written, was initially and intentionally written for, to explain to the government what rights the citizenry allows it to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we've got the tools to retake and our government and get back to it if people will act. But freedom is not free. There is a cost to freedom, and we have to be willing to pay that cost.
Right.
With that, I will shut my mouth and get off my soapboxes.
Well,
But,
you're just going to jump back on another one in a minute.
well, I'm sure, but go ahead and I'm
All
going to
right.
let
Well,
you
I'm gonna bring up
boogie on.
something today. We were so elated the other day when my friend sent me them complaints he got as a travel agent being in the
Oh
UK,
yeah.
right? And
Yep.
and we thought
Absolutely.
that the UK, that America finally did not have the lock on stupidity.
No, but by golly, we are surely in the top 10, aren't we?
Well, no, I'm gonna tell you. I think after this latest TikTok craze or social media craze, I think we have reclaimed the crown.
All right, hit me.
Well, have you heard of the thing going around is called the Chase Bank glitch?
The Chase Bank glitch.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, when I read this and first saw it, I'm like, that's not a glitch. You mean
All right.
people are actually doing this? So evidently, as in my understanding,
Hmm.
some people had done something to a system at Chase Bank that made any deposit at an ATM available as soon as you deposited it, right?
All right. Which it
So,
should be, but we won't
well,
go into.
depending on the check, if you deposit, if it's cash, yes, but if you're depositing a check, you may have to
Oh
wait to
yeah,
see whether the check clears.
right. I mean, you got to make sure there's some money in there to
Right.
cover the check. Yeah.
Well, therein lies the rub because
Hmm.
these people were told that if they deposited a check, it would be available immediately.
Hmm.
So these idiots write themselves a check off of their account, knowing that there's no money in their account. The
Hmm.
bank sees the amount come in, it credits the account, they promptly take the money out. And now we're
Wow.
crying because their accounts are locked. They're all facing check fraud and wire fraud prosecutions. And now they'll never be able to have a checking account, a credit card, rent a house, buy a house, or anything else because
Well,
of something. And I'm sitting here thinking, you wrote it yourself a check on your checking account and you didn't have any money. What did you think was going to happen?
well, I mean, that's what the Federal Reserve does when
Well,
the
that's a
government
different
needs to pull
story
money.
because that's the governmental people.
No, well, the Federal Reserve has about as much to do with the federal government as Federal Express does. It is a private organization,
It
and
is, but
people
it was
don't
off.
realize that
Well,
either.
it is, but it was delegated authority by Congress to do what they do because Congress
Well, and
was too
that's true.
lazy to do it in the first place.
That's true. Well, actually, I think they were too crooked to do it the
Well,
right
that
way.
and I think the problem is the people elected to the House and the Senate. While there
Hmm.
are some sharp ones on the average, I don't think they're intelligent enough to really take care of the nation's business.
Well, they're not. I mean, typically the people that the politicians are typically lawyers that couldn't make it as a lawyer. And so they go into public quote unquote service
Mm-hmm.
instead because they're not competent for anything else. But that's the thing. One of the things I was thinking about the other day, and that's been said far more eloquently than I'm going to say it, is you know average is basically 50% or the middle road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look at it, and half of the people on the planet are above average, and that's great. But simultaneously, half of the people on the planet are also below average, and some of them are way below average. But back to here's my second hopping on a soapbox. So this thing about people were wondering what in the blazes Gavin Newsom is doing with this whole bill in California to allow illegal aliens $150,000 towards purchasing a home in
Well,
California.
truthfully though, think about it though. When the average home price in California is $4 million, 150,000 ain't gonna get on my house.
No, it's not. But the fact of the matter is, what that's doing is it's the same kind of setup that they had with the whole junk bond scheme and everything that led to the big bank bailout
Yep.
from the Obama days in 2008, where those banks were too important to be allowed to fail. And so they're setting this thing up because they're going to default. Every one of them that gets that $150,000 loan is going to default on it. Well, maybe not every one, but the vast majority. And then the banks are going to go, "Oh, woe is me! We were forced to give this money to these people, and they defaulted on it, and da 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 da." And then they're going to get another
Well,
great
though,
big
if
bailout
Gavin
at
Newsom does it,
taxpayers'
well, if
expense.
Gavin Newsom does it, then it could be that the government's forcing them to do it.
Well, yeah, but
And
they're
but
in
it should come
collusion.
out of California's tax dollars, not the rest of the nation's.
But it will come out of the rest of the nation. And you know that
Well,
it's
I
going to come
told
out of
you how
everybody's
to
pocket.
fix that problem. I told you all how to fix that problem.
Well, yeah,
We go
we are in
back to
agreement.
operate the way the founding fathers originally wanted us to operate, and you wouldn't
Mhm.
even consider yourself an American.
And
You would be a
I agree.
Virginian, a South Carolinian, a North Carolinian, a Floridian, and something like that. And the federal government wouldn't come into play until it was for defense or a
Hmm.
dispute amongst the states.
No, and that's exactly the way it should be. And but you can't convince people. Well, there's a significant portion of the population that you can't convince that, and those are the people that say, "Well, I don't like this, and so you should not be able to exercise that, that because I don't like it." Okay, so it's like you used to be able to smoke cigarettes. Now people will even come up to you and fuss at you if you're smoking a cigarette outdoors. Now I
Well, I can
understand.
about guarantee you one thing.
What's that? Guarantee
They
me.
ain't they ain't gonna come up and fuss at me about anything but once. And I
Oh, I
guarantee
understand.
you they will never do it to another human being again because I have been known from time to time to have a tongue that is sharper than the French guillotine.
I am so shocked and appalled. I would never have thought that about you, my friend.
Well, I do, on this podcast, broadcasting, whatever we're doing, I do really good, and every once in a while we have to break out the General Lee, but in real life, I don't have a filter. And
No,
I
I
will
understand.
create four-letter words to make you look like an idiot.
Oh, no, no doubt. Absolutely. I'm right there with you, my friend. And again, it's just, so the one that comes to mind is, of course, now the other thing is, have you ever noticed how whenever the Democrat Party is not doing well and they want to start screaming about gun control, that's when we suddenly start having mass shootings at schools?
Well, well,
Have you
I
noticed that?
hope they're. Well, I have, but I hope that's not. I hope that's just an unfortunate coincidence. Truthfully.
Well, but is it?
Well, I don't know. That situation, I don't like seeing people get killed
No, I
anywhere,
don't either.
anywhere.
I don't like seeing people
And
get killed at a school. I don't like seeing people get killed in a war. I don't like
well,
seeing
but
people
here's
get
the
killed.
kicker: if that kid got flagged last year
Yeah.
for the exact same thing,
Hmm.
and you just kind of patted him on the head and let him go, something ain't adding up somewhere. I don't know if it's a failure in the FBI, a failure in the sheriff's department or the local jurisdictions, or something of that nature. But if you are reported for that, I mean, there's a movie called
Hmm.
Bang Bang You're Dead. Okay, and I think
Hmm.
it's based on a play.
Hmm.
And this kid, the main character, gets in trouble the year before, threatening to blow up the school.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, he creates a bomb that is perfect, other than the fact that it's not actually a bomb.
Hmm.
And so he gets in trouble and he goes through therapy and all this stuff, and they let him back in to the school.
Hmm.
And then he gets picked on and all this stuff, and they end up doing a play called Bang Bang You're Dead in the
Hmm.
school drama department.
Hmm.
And lo and behold, part of the kids he's hanging out with are actually planning a Columbine type school shooting.
Yeah.
And, he eventually, I ain't going to give away I'm going to stop right there and not give away the plot of the movie. But the fact is, if it was done like it was when he came back to school,
Hmm.
there would have been a lot more supervision in place than there was evidently was here, because from what I've heard of the conversations and the stuff that they released, they just kind of denied it, and then they just let them go about their merry way. But
Sort of like.
this here's the funniest thing though.
Hmm.
When you and I were in school, in high school,
Hmm.
we had rifles and shotguns in the back windows of the pickup trucks.
Well, but you know what else? We didn't have safe spaces, and there was nobody that was telling us that the world was a safe place to be.
That's
Okay. We
because
grew
kids
up.
today are twat waffles.
Well, we were brought up to understand that we had a responsibility to take care of ourselves
Hmm.
and to help take care of those who were not capable of taking care of themselves. Okay. And we didn't grow up believing that Big Daddy government was supposed to be there to take care of every little thing and wipe our butt every time we took a dump.
Well, I
And
kind of
that's the
like
problem.
using the bidet. It's kind of erotic and satisfying at the same time.
Well, that's more information than I ever wanted to know about you, my friend, but I'm happy for you
Well, I just
and
thought,
rock on.
hey, just like Crocodile Dundee, it's for keeping your backside bright. I have
All right.
discovered an
Please
app,
tell me. Oh, an app. Thank
an
God.
app.
I was really scared after that last
Hey,
comment, but
you
go
got
ahead.
to be really careful what you can find because there's a lot of weird stuff on Pornhub. I will just give you
Yeah,
that.
okay.
But this doesn't have anything to do with nasty stuff. This is on Tubi. The app is called Tubi.
hmm
And evidently it's been around for a while, but I am just now discovering it. And I was looking for a particular show that had Ian McKellen in it that came out, I'm going to say somewhere around between 2014
hmm
and 2017 called Vicious.
hmm
And I found it on Amazon,
hmm
but it keeps saying it's not available in your area. You know, you either get that crap. But it was streaming on Tubi, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And so I get to looking at it. And
hmm
granted, you have to take, it's commercial, so that's how they keep it free, which is fine. I don't have a problem with
hmm
that. But
Oh,
this
yeah, I
has
don't either.
all the old shows and a lot of the current shows that I like that I have been having to jump around and jump through hoops to get on different streaming platforms and pay for. And I'm like,
hmm
why didn't I know this was here before?
Oh, yeah. Now, so yeah, Tubi and Freevee. I found that one of my, I mean, when I was just a little tyke, one of my favorite shows was UFO. I don't know if we've ever talked about that or not.
We have.
Yeah, and I managed to find, I think it was on Freevee. But yeah, there's a lot of good
And I
content
found
on both.
you copies of The Flaming Carrot.
Yes, you did, and I was very pleased with those, my friend. I must
Well,
admit.
I just made a real put two and two together.
Oh Lord, and what did
You
you
know,
come up with?
and it could be dangerous. You know,
It sounds like it. Go
Disney
ahead.
owns Fox. You know, Disney owns Fox,
No,
right?
I did not know that Disney
Well, I
owned
think
Fox.
Disney owns Fox,
Okay,
so that
that's a
makes
shock.
Klinger a Disney princess.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that. Go ahead, sir. Yes,
So
you
I
are
just
correct.
like see Klinger is by far my favorite Disney princess,
Oh, absolutely. I have to
particularly
agree.
when he was wearing that big yellow hoop dress with his parasol.
Yep.
He died though. The guy that played Klinger, didn't he die?
I don't know, but that was a great show, and
It
it's
was a
one of
good
them.
show. That,
I
and I
don't.
never will forget the saddest episode I ever remember watching
Uh-huh.
was the one where Lieutenant Colonel Blake's plane went down,
Yeah. hmm
and before Sherman Potter got in
Harry
there.
Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that was just
But
that. And I remember I've got. Luckily, MASH is one of the shows that I have always liked. And so
yeah.
it's one of the ones that I actually have it on, had it on DVD, and have it. We ripped them for backup purposes
hmm
only. I need to say that because we're not
Right.
doing anything else with it. But it is one of the shows that I can just watch over and over and over again. Okay,
Well, and
Jamie Farr did not die. I looked it up. He is not dead, but he is 90 years old.
oh my goodness, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit of time. But that the and I'm lost now because you got me with the Jamie Farr thing before I could get. Oh yeah, MASH is one of those shows. I'd be real surprised if there were any reruns on MASH because it would not, it doesn't fit with the narrative that they
Well,
want you to
well,
have these
but we
days.
show it's just surprising because it's not just MASH; it's all the shows of that
Oh
era,
yeah.
like the Jeffersons, the Archie
hmm
Bunker, or All in the Family. I called it Archie Bunker, but All in the
Right.
Family. All of those old shows. I mean, if you
That.
would play the All in the Family today,
Oh yeah.
even for back then, it was accepted. But
hmm
they totally like went off the. They were off the chain criticizing the politics,
Oh yeah.
criticizing cultural issues, and the
Hmm.
whole 9 yards, and people thought it was funny.
Well, yeah, we used to be able to laugh at ourselves, and we used to understand that not, that yes, there were bigots and there were racists, but it wasn't everybody, that they were a small group of people, and they still are
And
for the
they
most
still are a
part.
bunch of little twat waffles.
Yeah,
That's my
absolutely.
new favorite word, by the way.
I've kind of started to pick that up.
Yep, I kind of like it. I'm gonna have it tattooed on my chest so I can just pull my shirt open like Superman and point at it.
All right. What waffles?
Oh, that's right. Well, North Carolina has been hit with an injunction from a federal judge or some kind of judge from somewhere.
All right.
You know, RFK, this is one of the
Yep.
states that were a battleground state that he was going to take his name off the ballot. North Carolina said, pound sand, we ain't going to do it. We've already printed the ballots. And I
Hmm.
think they are supposed to start sending them out or have already started sending them out. But a
Hmm.
judge has halted it and told them they cannot. And that I think they end up having, are going to, North Carolina and Michigan are two of the ones that said they were not going to do it, but I think they're going to have to because I think a judge has now put an injunction on them and told them they were going to have to remove the names from the ballot.
Hmm. Well, and that's actually a good thing. Again, I'm not a fan of this whole mail in, mail out, mail in
I think
BS.
if you are in the armed forces and you were
Absolutely. Yep.
overseas, I can understand it. Or if you are crippled and can't get out.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the rest of everybody should have to vote in person.
I think everybody should vote in day on the day of the on voting day in person with an ID. Now, but again, this is no, I agree with you 100%.
You
Now,
know, we are
everybody
not into
has.
that. Is not a popular opinion.
I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I think we all want the vote to be fair. Now, but here is the thing. You have a right as a citizen of the United States to cast your vote, and you have a responsibility as a citizen of the United States to cast your vote.
Hmm.
But there's nothing that says that it has to be convenient for you or easy for you to do so. Now, it shouldn't be
Well, now
unnecessarily difficult,
theoretically, though,
but you cannot be fired or held accountable for going
to
to
vote,
cast your vote.
right? Well, and also, you know, it says the state shall decide how the presidential elections are run in the state.
Absolutely.
Which
Absolutely.
theoretically, if they wanted to, they could say, well, you voted for the legislature. The legislature is going to cast the vote for the president, and you don't have to worry
Mhm.
about
You know, yes, they could. And that's absolutely within the realm of possibility. But again, we've got to get, and I've said it a million times, we got to clean house everything from the top, from the president of the United States down to your local dog catcher, because it's at
it.
every
I don't think we
single
should have
level.
dog catchers.
And
I
and I
think dogs should
understand,
be able to run free because I like little baby puppy dogs. I don't like cats. They can be a cat catcher, but they need to leave little baby puppy
regardless,
dogs alone. I
regardless.
want to
The
ask you a
point being,
question.
go ahead, ask me.
You know, one of my biggest joys on the weekend and during the week when I was younger was the comic section of the newspaper.
Yes, sir. That was my favorite part.
Loved it. And it's
Hmm.
probably the only part of the newspaper that I really ever wanted to read because I didn't like getting that crap all over your fingers.
Yeah,
But
but you could also take silly putty and take reliefs of them as well
yep,
and
that's
stuff
true.
like that, which was
So
great fun.
on the comic strip page,
Hmm.
which comic strip was your favorite and why?
Oh my goodness, I have so many that were my favorite. I was a fan of Marmaduke. I guess
Hmm.
I'd have to say Bloom County was
Bloom
one of
County's a
my
good one.
favorites, but Pogo Possum was
Yeah,
always great. Lil Abner was
Little
always
Abner. Yeah.
great. Um, the Peanuts, my goodness, Snoopy and the Red Baron and Woodstock. Oh my
Oh
goodness. I
yeah.
mean, those were all just
Beetle
absolutely
Bailey,
magnificent. Beetle Bailey was always fun.
the
Yep.
Far Side.
Yep, Far Side was great.
Now, my
Yeah,
favorite one was Calvin and Hobbes.
and I did like Calvin and Hobbes as well.
And the best part about Calvin and Hobbes is it's timeless. I mean,
Oh
it's not that, Beetle Bailey's World War II. It's kind of
yeah,
dated and stuff like that. But Calvin, and it's not there wasn't a debate whether Hobbes was real or not. It was just a difference in perspective of how Calvin perceived
hmm
Hobbes and how everybody else perceived him.
yeah.
And it's like I still read Calvin and Hobbes every day.
No, I understand. And I mean, and did we mention Far Side?
Yeah, the Far Side's good. Far Side was good because it had T-shirts and stuff, like
That's true.
the School for the Gifted, where the guy was pushing the door and it says "pull."
Yeah,
I had
exactly.
that T-shirt. But that's one thing Bill Watterson with Calvin and Hobbes, he never did. Nothing for Calvin and Hobbes was ever licensed to be produced like any of the others. All the
Oh, well,
stuff
that's
that's
good.
Calvin and Hobbes that's out there is all bootleg. There is nothing that Watterson signed off on to license because he said it cheapened the the cartoon strip.
All right. Well, more power
And
to him.
there
It
ain't
was
no
his
telling how
creation.
many hundreds of millions of dollars he walked away from to do
Well,
that.
but you know what? And that's the thing. It's everything. And it's like my one of my favorite movies. Oh, brother, where art thou? In the immortal words of Big Dan Teague, it's all about the money, boys. And again, the good book tells us that it's not money. Money is just an object, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's why whenever there is evil afoot, if you follow the money, it will always lead to the source of that evil.
That is true.
And people just, I mean, again, it's greed. Because the people that are pulling the strings and causing all the ruckus that we're dealing with right now, they've got more money than they know what to do. They could not possibly spend all of their money if every day was like Brewster's Millions. They couldn't do it. But yet they still want to take all of the
I'd like to
money and
give it a
freedom that
try.
you can. I'd like to give it a try too. But they want to take all the money that they can possibly get out of the pockets of the people that just want to be left alone to live their lives.
True. I just want to be left alone. People don't want to leave me alone sooner or later.
Yep,
What's that old saying? You can't poke a bear so much before the bear F's you up.
yep.
Yeah, that's
I don't
about
know
it.
about this. I don't know exactly the saying, but I know what you're referring to, and there's plenty of them. Well, it's like you can't, if you mess with the bull, you're going to get the
The
horns
horns, that's
eventually.
right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, and I mean, again, I don't know, man. I just have to wonder
All right,
how
I'm gonna
much
ask
longer.
you another. I finished, I told you I finished a book this week,
Oh,
last week.
all right,
It's a reread.
all right,
I want to ask your opinion on this.
all right.
Do you think Jesus humped Mary Magdalene and had a baby?
I don't think it is absolutely necessary to the narrative in one direction or the other. I have heard that there are, in like the Qumran scrolls, that there are
Mm-hmm.
scrolls that indicate that, um, and that there is a pretty significant amount of confusion about, Mary was a pretty common name back in those times,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Well,
there's
and
like,
though they have come out and said now though a lot of the stuff that we had originally been taught about Mary about her being a prostitute and stuff was
right,
not really true because
yeah,
it was a misinterpretation or a deliberate misinterpretation.
and it could have been, and it doesn't, again, I don't think that any of that is important to the message that Jesus brought, but to say a little bit better than that, Jesus was he was fully man and
Hmm.
fully God. He was which is a complete paradox. Now, how can you be a full human man and not fall in love with someone
Well,
and
and
not
that's my
experience
thought.
that
I would
love?
think he would have to, in order to do it, because he became man and became flesh to take on everything that man
Absolutely.
did. So he would have to. I
Right.
would think.
But again, that's the whole thing with the Catholic Church. They wanted everybody. They're the ones that created the whole thing about being celibate and all of that stuff. Now, I mean, again, there was a lot of stuff in the biblical texts about, about keeping your knickers, keeping your
Right.
britches zipped and your knickers on to,
Well, it's
keep
true.
from
I'm gonna be
producing a whole
honest
bunch
with
of
you.
extra
It's the
babies.
best kind of birth control now, and a lot of people
And
nowadays probably need to practice it.
yeah, and so when you go beyond that, one of the commandments that was given to Abram when he became Abraham was be fruitful and multiply. And I
Yep.
believe that, I mean, so we're supposed to, you're not supposed to get busy with your neighbor's wife, but you're supposed to get busy with your own wife.
Hey,
So,
have you seen my neighbor's wife? I wouldn't want to get busy with. She's worse than mine.
but you follow my logic. So the point being, it's like the same conversation I had with the friend of mine who was so fond of telling me that Jesus wasn't Caucasian, wasn't white,
Well, we know
and
that. That's a
yeah,
given.
it's not up for debate.
Hey,
He was
and
good.
here's another news flash, boys and girls. Jesus wasn't
Yeah,
a Christian.
that's exactly
He
right.
was a
But I mean,
Jew.
again, the point of the matter is, I don't care if you the version of Jesus that speaks to your soul has purple skin with pink polka dots. I do not care as long as you have a relationship with Christ and you are trying to live by the commandments that Christ laid down, then I'm with you. And again, that goes with the Mosaic Law and the Ten Commandments and all of that stuff. As long
Hmm.
as you're practicing, love God above all else. Don't steal. Don't cheat. Don't kill anybody. I'm good with that. That's what we should all be doing. And y'all don't be mean to each other. Stop it. I mean,
Well,
that's the thing. I'm
but wait a
sorry.
minute. Now, you got to remember, some people deserve it. Sometimes
Well,
I just can't help myself.
but I mean, again, that's the kind of thing that's going on with Israel and Hamas. Okay. I mean,
No, the
you
problem
don't
that's
have to
going on
warm
with
up.
Israel and Hamas is
Go ahead.
Hamas. Well, I look at it like this:
Mhm.
Israel is well in there. Hamas and people that act like they're acting and
All right.
subvert a religion for militaristic purposes are nothing but cockroaches and deserve to be wiped off the face of the planet.
I agree. And you're going to warm up the General Lee here right now because
Uh oh.
when you move into fuck around and find outville, okay, then you deserve what you get. Again, it's one of those things. Thou shalt not kill does not mean thou shalt not defend thyself.
Right.
Okay. And if somebody is threatening your life, then they have forfeited to their own.
Well, and it's the funny thing is they keep I guess the argument is the people that are Hamas or the Houthis or the Iranians or whatever,
Mhm.
they say that's not Israel's land, but they have unearthed stuff
Oh,
recently in
yeah.
Egypt as far as 3000 BC that refers to Israel.
Yep. 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 That is correct. Well, but if you get right down to it, ain't none of this anybody's land. We
Right,
all
because
share
when
in it.
we're dead and gone, somebody else is going to have it and have
Yep.
everything that we worked so hard to keep.
You betcha. And that will
Except for
most
mine,
likely
because I've
be
got mine set on the day I die, they're going to burn the house down with everything in it.
that'll most likely be BlackRock and Vanguard and whoever, George Soros and Jeff Bezos and all these people that are so deadgum determined to steal from you.
I ain't got nothing left to steal.
Yeah, I was born independently poor, and I've got most of that left.
I think I was right there with you.
Yeah, I hear you, my man. I do indeed. I thought you had something uplifting to talk about tonight.
Well, I don't know about uplifting, but
Uh,
Elon Musk is on track to be a trillionaire by 2027.
yeah, more power to him. I don't see how anybody can actually can become even a billionaire honestly, in this world. It just seems to me you got to be
Well,
doing
you got to
something.
be crooked.
Yeah, you have
You
to
got
be
to have
crooked.
lax morals, and I don't know whether he has lax morals or he just picked the right thing. But it's not like he came from poverty.
Well, that's true. And I mean, again, people think, talk like Bill Gates came from poverty. He did not.
No.
He most assuredly did
Well,
not.
and Bill Gates really didn't do anything. He just stole the crap that other people did.
Oh yeah, he stole CPM from Intergalactic Digital
Well, and he
Corporation.
stole the actual Windows stuff from Apple
Oh yeah, that
and Xerox.
small
Yeah.
talk, and Xerox. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and he, yeah, but and he stole the business practices from IBM, because
Hmm.
IBM, he learned everything he knows about business from IBM's tender tutelage, and they created Microsoft. Microsoft wouldn't have gone anywhere if they had marketed CPM in the same fashion that they marketed DOS.
Well, they thought it was a fad. They didn't think it was going to be what it
Oh yeah,
was.
no, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
like cell phones. They didn't realize what they were doing when they unleashed that on everybody.
Well, yeah, they didn't understand. They. I'm going to beg to differ that they didn't understand what they were doing, because this was absolutely very much planned out when they spent billions of dollars to make the damn things more addictive than cocaine.
Well, I'm talking about when it first
Oh yeah,
became available.
oh yeah. When it, yeah, yeah, they had no idea, but yeah, it was the BlackBerry was the big thing
I
that.
missed the BlackBerry. That was one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
devices.
yeah, and I thought they were great, and but yeah, they couldn't
Well, and now
make the leap.
I guess they're a software company.
Yeah, they just somehow they hit that point. You hit that point with a business where you have to transition, and they couldn't do it. I've never. There's a movie or a mini series about that whole thing with BlackBerry, but I've never watched it, and I've never done any research on them. I just think, I mean, again, you look at like Nortel. Nortel had all of the patents on voice over IP
Hmm.
technology. They were the 900-pound gorilla in the room to create that industry, and they managed to create, to fail so epically
Hmm.
that the company no longer exists. And they had jam up hardware. I mean, they had
Well,
some of the best
essentially,
hardware in the
that's what's
business.
happened to BlackBerry.
Yeah, no,
They've
absolutely.
gotten more into security. They bought Cylance, which was an antivirus, an AI, the
Hmm.
first AI technical um, antivirus,
Hmm.
and then they've killed it off because I was a subscriber to it because I liked it
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we used it at a company that I worked at, and now it's re. I don't even know if it's still around. I know they're
Well, but
selling BlackBerry security, but I think that's about it.
but I mean, again, that's kind of the point. Having the best technology or the best product, or even a product that the public wants, is not a harbinger of success. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You've got to know the right people and have the right attorneys and
Hmm.
whatnot on your side to get to be successful in this world. And
You're right.
that's not the way the United States was intended to be.
So here's another thing while we're on stuff that chaps our ass.
All right, boss. I
And this
thought
is
we were
going,
going to get off of it,
well,
but
we
hit me.
are, but this is going to end us up because we're running low on time.
All
You know
right,
what
boss.
really ticks me off?
I would be afraid to hazard a guess, but I could probably get within the top 10. But
Well,
go
you
ahead, my
probably
man.
could.
Yeah.
What really makes me mad is like I recently got an email from my cellular provider,
Hmm.
and they told me because if I turned on auto pay, they gave me a ten
Hmm.
dollar discount on the bill, right?
Yep. Yep.
And they're going to cut that in half unless I switch to another plan. Well,
Hmm.
and that's fine. I get that. But why is it the plans for one line are three times more expensive than if I have four lines?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I mean, again,
When they're
that don't make sense
advertising
to
on
me.
the prepaid, everything that's in that plan except the crap like Disney Plus, which nobody uses, and crap
Mhm,
like that for $25.
mhm. Well, and that's one of the reasons I'm very much considering going to somebody like, Boost Mobile or
Hmm.
or Mint Mobile or
Hey, I've got
any of
Boost.
those
I
guys.
bought a Boost account.
Oh yeah, how
That
is it?
Boost Infinite. I do have a Boost Infinite account. It costs me
Mhm,
$60 a month, unlimited everything with a new
mhm.
iPhone every year.
Well, and I mean, I don't need a new dadgum phone every year. I like to have a phone, and I like to keep that damn phone
Well,
because I
then
get
see, then
used
you
to
could
it.
get out really cheap. Yours would be like $20 a month.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to see us get back to a point where we control our own data, and you have to pay us to give our data to people or at least let us know who you're giving it to. But at any
Well,
rate, I'm gonna
that
shut
would
up
put
before I get
Google
on
out of
another subject.
business.
Oh yeah, it would. That'd put a lot of them out of
Well,
business.
Google may be hurting anyway because they did get found to be a monopoly. So that's going to be interesting how that shakes out.
Well, that all depends on whether or not they get
Well, that
away and
that goes back to which behemoth that owns them and has the most monies. They're having
right.
the pissing contest to see whose pecker's the longest.
Yep, absolutely,
And with that,
absolutely.
that's the snout to the curly tail and everything in between. And we gone.
Have a good evening, sir.
All right, you crazy bunch of motherfuck. Wait, can we say mother? Anyway, you've been listening to the Carolina Underground. It isn't politically correct, it's just correct. Our motto is, if you can't go balls deep, don't go at all. Actually, that's not our motto, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what that meant. All right, we gotta go. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, we hope it really pissed you off. Follow us on Twitter at Carolina UNDGRND Underground, get it? Or drop us an email at Carolina UNDGRND, get it? At northstate.net. We want to hear from you. Y'all be cool. See you next time on Carolina Underground.